Before I go into the story of this picture, I want to give a shout out to the following people who have inspired this picture. The Scott family, especially Steve Scott. This video is dedicated to him. I know every time I bring him up, he be like, Billy, stop that, stop that, stop that. But I'm going to continue doing it because growing up around men and role models who happen to be men is something that a lot of our young men and young women are lacking right now. So, Steve, you know I got to give you a shout out. This picture is called Toys. And I made this just in honor of us having a childhood and growing up and seeing people go from the small bikes to the big bikes, the big boys, the major boys, whether you are a V-twin engine or a sports bike. My childhood friend Steve Scott has had both styles of bikes. But Steve Scott was one of the individuals, along with my father, who was also an artist, and I guess I took over, that inspired me to really get more in depth into my artwork. So the first story I'm going to tell you all about, Steve Scott had the baddest car on the block, along with his friend Larry and a couple other guys. Steve had a 74 Charger. It was blue. When he finished it, it was cherry red with, I think it was a 454 engine on there that sat up, but it looked just like the car from Fast and the Furious, except it was red. And watching that man cut that car on and hear it hum and roar, and then he screeches out in the street, was like watching a movie over and over and over again. Steve had his room in the back of his house, of this family's house, and I used to get babysitted by his sister Allison. Rest in peace, Allison. And when my mom and dad used to go bowling on a Friday night, I would hang out over there. And so Steve had snakes, spiders, he trained dogs. So, you know, a kid seeing all that, it's the greatest thing on the planet. But Steve used to have all these posters in his room. Posters from Joe Jusko, Franzetta, Boris Vallejo. And I saw this one picture, and the picture was a knight. I think it was a Franzetta picture. It was the Black Knight. And I asked Steve, could I draw that? And he let me draw it. Now, back in the day, we had on TV. That was our cable. But he had this one picture called Road to Hell. And it was an image of a guy on a motorcycle, popping a wheelie, flames coming from everywhere, and he had spikes on his tires. I've never seen a motorcycle like that before. But it was the coldest picture for a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, excuse me, that at that time, you can never imagine. And I asked Steve, can I sit in here and finish this picture and watch TV? And he said, if you finish this picture and I like it, you can stay here all night. Well, I got to stay in that room all night and watch on TV while I was sketching. And that was the beginning of me really wanting to get more in depth in art. Although I was drawing, but I never took it as serious as I did until that moment. The reason why I painted this picture, it was symbolic of our childhood and what we aspired to ride when we got older. And Steve Scott with this 74 Charger that looked like the car from Fast and the Furious, just the red version, will be the most memorable thing that I can remember about this guy. Coolest dude on the planet. He's a retired fireman as well. And the whole entire Scott family was like my extended brothers and sisters. So Steve, I know you hate me talking about how you influenced me, you and Larry, but this picture is about what you inspired me to do. And I've been doing it for 37 years now. Being a professional airbrush artist in Chicago and the first African-American biker artist or black biker artist in the world to document biker stories. So I want to thank Mr. Steve Scott, my childhood friend, the Scott's family, and happy birthday to his mom, Miss Scott. She turned 90. Blessing. Still getting it in. That's a motorcycle in the background. Steve Scott, to the Scott family, Larry, can't forget you, and all those guys that used to ride those motorcycles and them hot rod cars, especially the guy that used to always pop the wheelie and pop the wheelie for a whole entire block, and my mama would call the cops on y'all because she got tired of all that noise. Thank you all for inspiring me. Thank you all for the memories and the love, and there's more murals coming. This is Toys by William Surf Ryals, aka the Black David Man of the biker industry. Thank you all for 11 years of supporting this brand. We Ride Biker for Life approved. Don't bring your kids. Ha!